So this is issue 5 of Shazam by Mark Waid, and this is the variant cover, which I think is pretty cool. I like this one. I'm going to go through it, and as always, warn you that I don't avoid spoilers, so just know that. When we left off, the whole theme of the series so far has been that the five gods and Solomon, who they like to mention is not a god, have been messing with Billy when he changes into Captain Marvel. What they're doing is they're kind of, each god or Solomon, one at a time, are taking over, or kind of they're putting their own personal flaws onto Billy, which is interesting that these gods have such distinct personal flaws. But at the end of the last issue, Queen Bee had kicked Billy out into space where he could not say Shazam because space is airless. And so, lucky for him, Mary Marvel comes along, who apparently had noticed the goings on, and so she sees Billy and has to quickly get him back inside and save him from the frigid cold of outer space and lack of oxygen. So she says, "Billy, wake up, Billy." And although Zeus doesn't want to allow Billy to die, he says the rules are the rules, so he can't send a lightning bolt. And so what she does is she shouts Shazam and then dodges out of the way, and so it hits Billy and he changes back into Captain Marvel. And then we have a fight with Queen Bee. Gargoax was changed into a bug size by Queen Bee. She's a very powerful villain. And then we have the gorillas, who are also fighting, and both sides want this warp drive to allow them to conquer the galaxy, I guess. The gorillas want it, and Queen Bee wants it, which is, Queen Bee's pretty tough, but I don't see her conquering the galaxy. I mean, she's much more of a threat because she has mind control, so she could conceivably start building an army. The gorillas are kind of played off as jokes, so I don't think that they would have much success taking over the galaxy, particularly since I don't even think they would stand a chance against Captain Marvel and Mary Marvel. I'm sure they wouldn't. They are about the strength of a gorilla, and a gorilla would not. So Captain Marvel, this time, he's being manipulated by Mercury. He's acting like a jerk. So, what is it? I don't know. Something's got him laughing. I can't remember what it was. I read through these comics a couple times just to try to get everything, but I don't remember everything. And she says, "Cap, you're acting weird again. What's going on with you?" "Ah, loosen up, Mary. Pants." Okay, so he pulled the pants off the gorilla and he found it funny. Now he goes up to Gargoax and says, "Give me the warp drive," threatens his life, and says, "I already know where it's at using my X-ray vision." So Gargoax opens his mouth gigantically and just hurls up the warp drive. And Captain Marvel does say, "You fell for it. I don't even have X-ray vision." And Gargoax looks quite diminished there. So apparently his girth was mostly the warp drive. So they had taken Queen Bee captured about 2 seconds ago, but she broke out immediately, and some more fighting. We get back to the dinosaur and the rest of the Captain Marvel gang, who are all depowered. They have no ability to become their super selves anymore. I really wasn't that interested in that storyline. And then we have Mary Marvel, and I think Queen Bee's mind manipulation only works on males, so it wouldn't work on Mary Marvel. I think so. And then she's starting to think about it. Mind you, she's, not that maybe it matters, but she gets her powers from different gods. And she says, "You called yourself a god a second ago. That's not like you at all, but it's exactly like the gods who grant your powers. You've been arrogant like Solomon, reckless like Hercules. Now you're all pranks and tricks like Mercury. Is that it? Could they be in your head somehow controlling you? And so he figures it out, and Zeus says, rats. And so even Billy's like, all right, now I get it. Now I get what's going on. Meanwhile, the two gorillas who somehow got the warp drive, they're on the moon, because this is where all this is taking place, trying to steal the warp drive. They trip and activate it, and it starts making the moon spin around like crazy. And so Captain Marvel needs to stop the moon from spinning, and does so. So they have saved the day. I believe we are done with... Okay, so he just, boom, smashes Gargoax and Queen Bee. He says, what's he say? And take your weird boyfriend with you, lady. So I guess we're done with him. I don't think that we'll be seeing them again. And the gods are standing around, and they're a bit nonplussed that Billy or Mary Marvel figured it out. And Zeus says, we all lost sight of our goal. Stop quarreling and address the point. The captain's use of our powers was supposed to remind humanity of our significance, our majesty. Instead, his presence on Earth simply inspires humans to be better. So there we have the reason they're doing this. They're doing it because Captain Marvel is inspirational rather than reminding people of how awesome the gods are. So it really makes them look dumb and petty. And, it's like, if you're concerned about your legacy, and they had said before that they didn't even purposely grant him, that he's basically tapping into their powers without their permission. And I thought that was their issue. But apparently that's not their issue. And it's like, if that's the problem, why don't they just go up to Billy or Captain Marvel and say, hey, can you give us a shout out when you do one of your magical feats or your super heroic feats and save people? Do an interview maybe and say, hey, I get my powers from these 5 gods and Solomon, and they're real and people will remember. Why in the world would they sit there and decide to start screwing with Captain Marvel and make it? What was the point? And I think maybe this is ending this story arc. But Billy says he's just done. He's not going to be Captain Marvel anymore. I quit, and you'll have no representative on Earth. 0. So he seems to be serious about that he didn't like what they did, so he's done. He says, no, they wouldn't want it that way. No more Captain. Final answer, no. And then Freddie Freeman comes up and says, it shouldn't be up to Billy. If he won't take the Shazam powers, I will. Freddie? So I guess that's where it's going. Now Freddie is going to be Captain Marvel Jr. whatever, which is what he used to be. I tell you, I did not particularly get engaged by the whole story arc of the gods messing with Billy, and this series. It's certainly better than the Jeff Johns series. That's for sure. But I tell you, it is really on probation right now. And if I start not getting into the next story arc, if I'm just not finding it compelling, I may be done with the series. Because ultimately, I mean, it was fun with Gargoax and Queen Bee, but not really that memorable. And the God story arc just was... So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen with Freddie Freeman and whether he's going to take on the powers, which... Okay, I mean, he used to have powers, so he's just going back to having powers. But like I said, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to stay with this series. But anyway, that's Shazam number 5 by Mark Waid. And by the way, I do really like the art in this. I think the art is kind of the highlight of this series thus far. So that would be, I don't know, Riccardo Federici, maybe? Not sure. Anyway, issue 5.